to do evil, we got to make sure we set the guard. What do you mean, Pastor, when you say set the guard? Remember what Proverbs 4:23 and 24 tells us. It tells us clearly, above all else, guard your what? Heart. That's what the Bible tells us. It tells us that you and I must begin to guard our hearts. But notice, oftentimes, that's all we hear in Christendom, that people tell us, above all, guard our hearts, or keep our hearts. But the truth of the matter really says, the rest of it is really what we need to know. Not the part where it tells us, for it is the wellspring of life, meaning the very thing that pertains to life and goodness comes from your heart. But there's another piece. Verse 24 says, put away perversity from your mouth. Look like we're in the right territory now. He says, keep corrupt talk far from your what? Lips. Do you hear what I'm saying to you tonight? See, why does God cause it to be so that he causes these two verses to be coupled together? Because one is giving revelation about the other. What do you mean? Look back at it again. Above all else, he says, do what? Guard our heart, for it is the wellspring of what? Life. And although we know it's a wellspring of life, the reason why we need to be guarding our hearts, why this second verse is coupled with it, is because we need to put away perversity from our mouths. See, perversity comes from our mouths when our hearts have not been guarded. Do you hear what I'm saying? Perversity comes from your mouth. Perversity comes from my mouth. Perversity comes from all of our mouths. Corrupt talk comes from all of our lips when we do not guard our heart. Somebody saying, well, yeah. But catch this one, if you will. Look at Matthew 12 and 13. Listen, the new is hidden in the old, and the old is revealed in the new. Matthew 12:34 tells us, for out of the abundance of the heart, what happens? The mouth speaks. There it is right there. See, out of your heart will come the things that proceed forth out of your mouth. See, I know what's in your heart by what's coming out of your what? Mouth. See, when a person begins to jibber-jabber and talk, it's all in their heart. They can say they don't mean it. They can say they didn't mean to do harm. But the truth of the matter is, it was in their heart. And that's why it came out. It just didn't come from their ears. It didn't come from their feet. It didn't come from their stomach. But it came from their heart. And so the Bible tells us, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you and I must begin to guard our what? Hearts. We got to guard our hearts, people. There's no way around it. Listen, if we're going to make sure that you and I don't return evil for evil, and if we don't revile for reviling, meaning speak evil, then we've got to do what? We've got to guard our hearts. We've got to guard our hearts. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. When you're telling somebody you love them, it's coming from your heart. When you tell somebody you hate them, it's coming from your heart. And so if we don't want to be in violation of what Scripture says, we've got to do what? Guard our heart. And the way that you and I set this guard at our heart is not a physical way. It's not a tangible way, if you will. Because when the Bible speaks here of heart, it's not talking about the true physical organ therein, but it's talking about what the organ symbolizes. Are you with me today? The organ symbolizes the seat of one's thinking, the seat of one's emotions. And this is what we've got to understand. So when we're talking about setting the guard at our heart, we're not meaning sticking a little man right there in front of our heart, but what we're talking about is being aware. Everybody say, I got to be aware. Yeah. You